and you scoop out a small portion that fits into about the palm of your hand.
Yes.
And
you have a plate of, this is coconut.
That's coconut flakes.
Okay.
So we do them about a half an inch high.
So is this dry coconut?
Yes, coconut flakes.
Okay.
You know, and so it's not the young coconut meat, it is actually the dried coconut that's been flaked.
Okay.
So you shape the ball, and then we go ahead and roll it, and what your job can be, Sheldon, is just to use the spoon and kind of cover it.
Like that, like you just did.
That's
so,
right.
So
and
much for my job.
And you can move it over to there while I go ahead and get the next ball together.
I can do that.
See, and so this can be a fun activity.
Okay.
I really find this fun with kids.
Yes.
You know, because kids feel, the kids can actually prepare this whole dish. And then they've got something to bring to a party, and they've made something, and it hasn't been baked, and you know, it's got all the nutritional value. And they swear
messy here.
that's okay.
This happens.
What you can do is you can wait until there's a couple of balls, and then you push one against the other. And so then you've got something to push against.
Probably if you had 2 spoons, that would be easier too, right?
That's true. See, yes, and you know, you could always just use your hands.
Like making a salad, like mixing
a
tossed salad. Okay.
Exactly. So
there
go ahead. And what you could do too is you could try one, and you could tell people how it tasted.
Okay.
And if you like it firmer, my husband likes it firmer, and so what we do is we put them in the fridge. And when you put them in the fridge, then they get colder, just a little bit denser, and then people really think that they're eating chocolate when they ate that.
Really?
So what the person that was asking about sugar earlier,
yes,
you notice we didn't put any sugar in this recipe whatsoever.
Right, just natural sugar from the raisins.
Exactly. And so even like we make a coconut haystack, we call it, and we use raw cacao in that. Now cacao, people might not know, is got 10 times more antioxidants than pomegranates. So we make chocolate at the cafe that not only tastes great, but is good for you. It has no caffeine in it because it hasn't been heated, and it has no toxins.
Okay.
So this is what we do here.
Okay.
So I think if you've had enough of the coconut,
probably so,
then what we can go ahead and do is we can talk about another thing that's really good for your health that people can do at home, not necessarily the same thing, but people say, well, okay,
I'm going to have to use my fingers.
Use your
fingers. I'm going to have to do that.
You're good.
Okay.
Okay. Is making smoothies or making juices at home. And so what we suggest, the person that asked earlier about, well, what about yogurt?
Yes.
Now, I grew up in an Indian family where we had yogurt all the time. It lines your stomach, it's good for you.
Very big.
And so we do a kefir. And this is a grain kefir, so you'll notice that it doesn't look like milk.
Right, not at all.
Not at all.
And usually kefir does look like milk or almost kind of a liquid yogurt. Huh?
Exactly, and so that is dairy based.
Okay.
So this one, we call it water kefir. And it's got a yeast grain, which is actually a kefir grain, but it's not a grain in terms of wheat or anything like that. And we add 1/3 of a cup of rapadura. And rapadura is cane sugar in its most raw form that hasn't been processed. Then we fill it with purified water, and you let it ferment for 2 days. And then you have this great drink. Now, what we suggest, though, in the morning, especially for busy people, is juices. So this one here is our Morning Glory. And in this, we do fresh pressed juice of oranges, tangerines, and pomegranate. And so this is the whole day's worth of fruit that you need.
So for this, you say pomegranate. Would you use the seeds that are in the pomegranate?
No, we have a Norwalk, and so again, that's why we're saying fresh pressed juices. These kinds of juices people can't necessarily make at home. Because the Norwalk applies 2 tons of pressure and it squeezes it. So the seeds of the pomegranate are left intact. So you don't get the bitterness of the seeds of the pips there.
Right. So this really, that kitchen gadget, if you will, truly is a commercial for commercial kitchens.
Well, it is.
Unlike this Cuisinart here.
Exactly. That's a $2,600 juicer. And so we figure instead of making everybody buy one of those to get the health benefits, that's why we opened up the cafe. So that you could come in and you could buy a juice. Because not only are you going to buy the machine, but then you have to buy the produce. And so as organic farmers, we have access to the produce, we have access to the machines. And so this one here is what we call Popeye Sweet Greens. Today, it's not as sweet, and I'd like you to drink it because I know you were saying that you were feeling a little under the weather.
I had the sniffles there, yes, earlier in the show. And I think the studio's a little cool today, so maybe we can use this glass.
Yes, we sure can.
Okay.
And so what this does is it gives you your whole day's worth servings of greens, and we sweeten it with those Pink Lady apples that we get locally from Chowchilla.
Yes.
Okay, so you'll have to drink it, and people look at that.
Really, it looks like, it doesn't look good.
No, it doesn't. It looks disgusting, doesn't it?
It kind of looks like leftover, after you've washed the dishes. I think after I've washed the dishes sometime, but it's good stuff.
Well, drink a little bit, and it does taste like you're drinking your greens, but it doesn't taste bad.
Not at all. It's really sweet.
It is, because the apple juice makes it sweet, so, I mean, There's no doubt that you're drinking your greens, but it's just like spinach, doesn't taste awful. The juice doesn't taste awful.
I didn't even think about awful. It doesn't taste awful at all. It tastes very good, yes.
Exactly. So we call that Popeye sweet greens. And if you were to drink that one glass, you would get your whole day's worth of greens.
So could you OD on this if you drank this all day long? Would you want to? Do you recommend it?
You know, when my children, we have 6 children, and the younger ones, 4 and 2.5, they don't stick to a raw diet, and so they were coughing on me and sneezing on me, and so I had 3 a day.
Yes.
Okay. Now, what we do make sure of is when we're making our green juices that we don't put something you could OD on.
Right.
Like if we put just strictly wheatgrass in there and you had 3 a day, that would be past the 4 ounces that you should have. So what we do is we mix them up. That one's got arugula in it, it has broccoli in it, it has romaine lettuce in it, and so we try to give your body a range of nutrients.
Things that people normally don't eat, certainly children wouldn't eat if you gave it to them as regular greens or regular vegetables. They wouldn't do it, but like that they could get into it, yes.
And even if, what I recommend is they go ahead and they buy a bottle of regular apple juice. And so for a child, then you would even dilute that a little bit more,
you could
put more apple juice,
right.
and you just tell them that, you know, it's apple juice, and that's what it would taste like for them. And then we also do for the holidays, we do a nog. This one is a persimmon nog, and so it's got no dairy in it. And it's a nut-based milk, and then we go ahead and we add persimmons and like pumpkin pie spice and cinnamon, and so that tastes really good too.
Fantastic! So, I'll look forward to that. Someone asked us, how does the green drink compare to commercial green drinks? Well, I'll tell you, it doesn't taste anything like commercial drinks. Plus, there's no sugar. It's all natural sugar, so there's no added sugar, so you can't even compare it.
Well, one step more than that. You know that there was that lawsuit against Odwalla because their juices used to be unpasteurized, and now they pasteurize them. Our juices are truly unpasteurized. So the only way we can maintain that is knowing we made the juice today, we buy it at the store, we tell you drink it within the next 2 days, because they have a shelf life of 72 hours.
Wow.
You can't do that on a commercial basis.
No, not at all, not at all. Okay, I'm going to try one of these.
Okay.
I'm going to try one of these snowballs here. I see what you mean about the chocolate.
Doesn't it have like that texture of chocolate? The raisins give it that kind of moist, chocolatey flavor.
Very good. I think the staff is going to eat the rest of these here.
Well, we like them in India. See, the snowballs is something I could get into because we would have these kinds of things for breakfast. Instead of having cereal with milk, we would get up and we would eat a piece of fruit, and we would have like 3 of those, and that would be an equivalent of breakfast.
Can you get this in some of the Indian markets here in the Fresno area?
No, you can't, because now what they've done is, again, everything is commercialized, but now what they do is they heat up the flour and things. But my mom was a chef, and so she would always have my dad grinding the nuts, and she would make these kinds of things, and they were fantastic.
So only at Whole Farms Market?
Only at Whole Farms Market.
Tara Hamilton, thank you so much. We're going to take a break here, and when we come back, Naomi is going to show us something else.
That's right.
So stick around. Come on back.
Okay.